it's pretty. We've had vendors turned up talking about contributing to the community today. Lots of different types of organisations. Dimsi, you are, how do I describe you? An operator of CloudStack, a user of CloudStack.
User of CloudStack.
A user of CloudStack who are here to tell us about some of the amazing work they've been doing. So please welcome.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us for this last talk of the day. We are talking about Backroll. But before we start, a quick presentation of our team, the new team working on this project. So we start. My name is Pierre. I've been living in Lorient and working at Dimsi for a little bit more than 1 year now. I'm a senior developer in the company and I'm working on a C# and Java project. And I'm also in charge of Backroll integration inside CloudStack. And when I'm not behind my keyboard, I love enjoying our beautiful Britannic coast, doing some surf or wind foil as often as I can.
Hello, my name is Ousmane. I'm working for Dimsi for 2 years. Usually I work with C# and Python project. Now I'm a contributor in Backroll side for this project. When I'm not working, I'm part of a basketball association as a member and as a player.
Hello everyone, my name is Pierre as well, and I've been working at Dimsi for about a year now. I work primarily in C#, but also every once in a while I use Java and JavaScript. And in my free time, I like to exercise, play video games and work on my own little projects. So now, what are we gonna talk about? First of all, we're going to talk briefly about Dimsi as a company. Then we'll introduce you to Backroll and the CloudStack plugin that comes with it. After that, we'll talk about the new features we've added recently. Then we'll see the next step. And finally, we'll answer all of your questions.
Dimsi was founded in 2006. We have two offices in France, in Paris and in Lorient. We are also present in Hong Kong. We have three areas of expertise. The Power Platform with Dataverse, Power Apps and Power BI. Cloud and Service with CloudStack, Jenkins, Azure. And we also provide apps built with different technology like .NET, Angular, Python, or React.
So now to briefly introduce you to Backroll. Backroll is a KVM backup solution, and we've developed it with the idea of being as simple as possible, which means we want it to be easy to install, easy to use, and easy to manage. With that in mind, we've developed the backend using RESTful API, and for everything that has to do with the way you use it, we've developed a modern UI using the recently available features, and so this UI it allows you to not only manage your backups, but also trigger them manually or schedule your backups using Chrome tasks. And however, it's optional, which means that you can get exactly the same results from the command line. And as for the build and deployment, we've used the obvious choice, which is Docker, which means that you really only need the Docker image to deploy it as a lightweight application.
And Backroll is not just that; it's also a plugin for CloudStack. As you may know, if you were in the previous event in Sofia, we created our own plugin for CloudStack to allow users to use Backroll directly inside CloudStack. Just a few words about it. We use the back and restore framework provided by CloudStack. It's a framework available since the version 4.14, if I'm right. And it's a framework that give us an empty shell, and we just have to fill the blanks to connect CloudStack to our system to Backroll. In the previous version, we have a few features already available. We were able to configure CloudStack to be able to connect to Backroll. We were able to create a backup offering, and we were also able to trigger a backup, delete a backup, and get the status of a backup. And since the last event, we've done a lot of work, and that's what we're gonna present in the next slide.
So, first see the news about the team working on Backroll. Quentin, the main contributor of Backroll, is sailing off to a new horizon, and the project is now fully handled by a Dimsi developer, by us. Concerning Backroll new feature, we are now able to backup and restore virtual machine even if they are shut down. In the last version, we facing an issue to do it. We were facing an issue to do it, and the problem was when a virtual machine is shut down, it fully disappears on the hypervisor context, and we don't have any information anymore. So how did we solve this problem? To fix the situation, we have add the notion of connector. A connector is an object that carries needed information to connect to CloudStack. This connector is linked to an hypervisor pool on the Backroll side. From now, when requesting a virtual machine, Backroll creates a single pool list with include hypervisor. For each of this pool, we will check whether a connector is associated or not. If so, that means the pool is managed by CloudStack, and we will use the CloudStack API to recover the list of disabled machine, virtual machine, and their information, so we can perform backup and restore task. This correction allows us not only to do this task on the Backroll side, but also on the CloudStack side with our plugin. I will hand over to Pierre, who will introduce us to the plugin.
Thank you, Osman. So let's talk about the new plugin feature. So thanks to Backroll, we are now able to do important tasks on a virtual machine, even if they are not running. This is very important, especially for the restore task, because we need to shut down the virtual machine in order to restore the backup. But we will talk about it later. The first feature is the backup of the shutdown virtual machine. So users can trigger a backup even if the VM is shut down, just by clicking on the button in the instance view or in a virtual machine detail view. and it's working by the same way done on a running virtual machine. And for the restore, it's almost working. We still have a little issue. The problem so far is that we are able to trigger the restore from the plugin. The task is in success in the backward side. We retrieve the success status in the plugin, and we return the success to CloudStack, but we still have an error on the UI, the CloudStack side, saying that there is an error. Yeah.
You already implemented backup and restore of running VMs, right?
Yeah.
So
not the restore, only the backup, because to be able to restore a backup, the shutdown should be the VM should be shut down. So in the previous version,
restore as running VM.
yeah.
Okay, thanks. If you have a full backup, okay, should include state.
Yeah, that's from that memory, right? That's going.
Yeah, so there is just a little issue that we have to solve. Maybe you are missing something somewhere, and maybe we can discuss later.
But even when you're trying to use the regular volume snapshots, when you're trying to restore them, CloudStack will complain if the VM is running. You can't do it. You need to stop the VM.
To do the rest?
To do a restore of volume snapshots, as far as I know.
Okay.
So to try that feature, try to restore.
Yeah.
And to tell you can't restore a running VM. You need to stop the VM.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly fine as far as they go. So to send this message, so if the VM is running, you need to stop it if you want to restore it.
Yeah. Okay. We will try. Yeah.
Sorry, but couldn't you have used snapshot?
Please, sorry.
Can you use a snapshot
Yes.
if it fails and rebuild it back again?
For the running VM, we use it to backup it, but not to restore.
You mean to revert to a snapshot situation? Yeah, but the thing is we want to keep it on a long-term storage, so now we want to keep the snapshot inside.
So there is another feature, and Pierre will tell you what it is.
So being able to execute tasks on a shutdown VM is a huge step for us, but it's not all we've been working on. For example, we've been working on retrieving metrics of a backup. So the way we do that is that during the sync process, which is provided by the backup and restore framework, we retrieve informations like the size and virtual size of the backup. The size is the size once it's been compressed and deduplicated, and the virtual size is the maximum size of the backup on disk storage. And you can see on this screenshot that we have the information available to us.
We also worked on the backup delete. As I say, this feature was already available, but we improved this feature because at the beginning, when the backup was deleted from the plugin, we deleted the row in database directly in the plugin. And we are not doing it anymore. We just update the status of the backup we tag it to removed, and then it's CloudStack that does the delete automatically. And the last feature is the backup synchronization between Backroll and CloudStack. What we wanted is to have a current environment between CloudStack and Backroll, to have the same data on each side. In the previous version, the backups triggered in the plugin was displayed in Backroll, but if we triggered a backup in Backroll, it was not displayed in CloudStack. So with the sync method, we are now able to make an API call through an API provided by Backroll, and it gives us a list of all the backup in Backroll, and according to this list, we have just to insert new data or update the removed backup. For instance, if you do a backup in Backroll, it will be available in the UI of CloudStack. And if you delete a backup in Backroll, it will be tagged as removed in CloudStack, and the user can delete it manually if he wants. And that's it for the new features. We also have an idea to share to the community because we have a lot of solicitation from our customers to restore just one file on a given date. So we think that it could be very interesting to implement a file level restore and allow users to just restore one file or a few files, but the idea is to be able to select a backup on a backup list, add the button to explore the files contained in the backup with a review, and the user could be click on select one or few files, and the action could be a restore or a download of the file. I think that there is kind of a lot of work of on CloudStack UI and on Backroll side too, but there is demand for that, and it could be a great feature to add, and we can discuss later and keep in mind for a future version.
So what's next? On our side, we still have work to do on Backroll and CloudStack plugin. We have to fix the restore issue in the plugin. After that, we will make a pull request. We also implement worm in Backroll to improve security and add protection against ransomware. We will continue to test our project in different environment with different storage and distribution. We will also integrate automate testing for both front and backend. About the community and marketing aspect, we will launch a Backroll dedicated website and update the GitHub repo. If you would like to contribute to the Backroll project, you are more than welcome. As for the support, we are working on providing optional enterprise support, and that's it. Thank you for listening. If you have any question, please feel free to ask.
Too much
No,
question.
there's no questions.
I just want to stick. Hold up. So, do you foresee framework level changes to the backup and restore framework for what you are planning? Or have you already in the PR that's coming out tonight?
Tonight. I'm not sure for tonight. It will be soon, but not tonight. There is no modification on the framework for.
Okay, not even for the file level restore.
For the file level restore, I think that there will be some change, but For now, this is just an idea. We have to work on it, and we didn't know all the consequences of this development.
You never know.
Yeah.
Regarding your file level backup or restore, it sounds super interesting, of course, but I had my doubts that it's feasible from a cloud perspective, where you take a raw block device and then start looking into all the different file systems which could be on that block device, and then trying to get a file list. I had my doubt if it's worth the while, because it's a super interesting idea, and I understand that end users find it super interesting, but this might be better off by having an agent inside the VM doing the file level backup than trying to do a block level backup and then exploring files in it. Just imagining how many file systems Linux already has, and then you go into Windows and BSD and everything.
That might have been the way they were going to implement it, right?
Yeah.
I hope so. That's an implementation detail.
I have an idea for that.
Yeah.
So the previous company that I worked for, we had a file restore. Basically, we use so the company I worked for is called Amato, and we use Storepool. And the solution what we had was we were doing hourly snapshots and daily snapshots for 30 days. And if, like, for example, there was the client wanted a snapshot, like, or just a file back, what we could do is we could attach their snapshot as an additional volume, and then the client can just SSH or RDP into the server, and then grab the file off of it, and then we can just tell us, oh yeah, I got the file, and we just destroy that volume. And then basically you're not disturbing the VM itself, you're just attaching as, like, for example, just as an additional volume. And if you guys have within the CloudStack, and the user can just go and say file restore, select the snapshot, and you just click, and it just basically creates an additional volume, attaches it to the VM, and you can mount it.
Okay.
And then you can retrieve the file, and then go back to CloudStack, and you say detach or dismount, unmount, and then destroy that volume. So that could be, what I would say, an easier solution instead of going down into files individually, because there's the other thing. What if it's encrypted? How is CloudStack going to dig into an encrypted hard drive? So that's the problem on that side. So this is how we go around that encryption and all of that. So basically we just create a new volume and the snapshot is the destination of that volume.
But the thing is, just to be clear, we are also using Borg in the backup process, and one thing we wanted to try was Borg mount. I think it's using a fuse system or something around this, and maybe using Borg mount, we could try to expose the file system to the end user. But this is really just the beginning of our design thinking.
I think the idea is instead of implementing kind of file peeking, file restore functionality in the backup system, you implement, in addition to restore a whole virtual machine, you implement attach backup as a function.
That might be
You don't need to touch the file system.
it's less sexy in terms of UI, but it's probably more efficient and more feasible.
There are a bunch of issues with it. Let's talk about it later. There is a project around the world called GuestFS that solves most of these issues. But let's
we can
talk later.
Let's go to a live demo.
We can try. We can try.
They don't work in this room.
the last of the day.
While we prep for the demo, what kinds of primary storage do you support? I'm guessing just QCloud. And the deduplicated backup repository is just Borg.
C'est dupliqué. Ah, c'est dupliqué. We are on the instance view. As you can see, we have two VM. One is running and the other is stopped. So we can. I have to log again.
Are there beacons?
No, we can't.
Better two-factor. Yeah.
Can you put it in an edge zone as well?
Not today. So we have two VM. One is stopped and the other one is running. So we're gonna start a backup for each one. Yeah. And yeah. So the two tasks are triggered, and if we go to Backroll, I have to sign up again. If we go to, sorry. If we go to Backroll, in the backup task list, we will see two tasks in success at 5 just now. Maybe we can remove one of this backup.
But you're now doing it in Backroll.
Yeah.
You can remove it from CloudStack as well, right?
You can do both. But here what I want to show is to remove the backup in Backroll, and then we will see the status inside the CloudStack where the backup will be in remove the status.
So you're using basically Backroll as the record master. Using the sync.
Yes, the sync method.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, right. Okay.
It won't work.
It will work. yeah, it will work. So now if we go back to CloudStack in the backup list, we can see there is a lot of backup.
Just say it works and we'll be able to tell.
Yeah.
See?
Up. No.
Ja, så det.
I didn't see the
Click on the created again.
Ja. Ja, så på der
Yeah,
der var 2 der for mig.
Yeah.
Okay. Again?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's okay. Yeah, okay.
UTC.
Yeah,
Oh.
absolutely. So, we have our two backup tasks. They are still backing up. We have to wait for the sync method, and I hope that it will work. And if it's work, we have one backup in back it up status, and the other one will be in removed. So we just have to wait a little bit. Yeah. So now we have one backup which is well backup. Donc the status is backed up, and the one which has been removed is well removed here in the backup list.
If you delete that one, it won't be deleted in Backroll, right? It will still remain in Backroll.
Which one? The back it up or the remove
one?
one?
That's backed up. That's
Yeah.
not removed. If you remove it here,
it will be removed in Backroll and in CloudStack, in
Okay.
both environments.
so it's two-way.
Yeah. Yeah.
For virtual machines with more than one virtual disk,
Yeah.
do you create like a cache consistent snapshot across the virtual disks, or are they snapshotted separately?
It's a good question. Thanks for asking.
How do you actually access the volume today with Backroll? How do you copy the data out?
It's a good question.
Simon, this is because this team is the plugin team.
Oh, right.
So, I'm sorry, but this question are more about the backup process. So maybe we should discuss this.
No, that'd be great. Yeah.
You
I'd
play
like to
in
understand.
wine.
Yeah.
You play-
I can maybe try to answer and
yeah.
So.
What do you store in one bucket? Is it like a raw image? It's the piece of data you store in one. I don't know what it is. You put like a raw image which is in one, and then it doesn't. So there's no dependency in the
I'm going to call this that I don't think any of these conversations couldn't happen in the pub. We just got a proper question.
I want to make one remark that I'm really happy to see that there's somebody else who created a backup solution for CloudStack rather than being just VMware with Veeam, right?
Yeah.
So we have something for KVM. So
there was already, there's Networker, this since 4.18.
oh well,
It's a Dell.
This will be
That's
third.
Dell specific.
okay, so I missed that part as well, but I'm really happy and really appreciate the work which is put into this.
Absolutely.
So this is available for the project.
Thank you.
So,
Any more questions for the guys? So, in appreciation for your talk and for the work, thank you guys.